In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, nestled beneath the moonlit sky, young Emily found herself alone in her family's sprawling two-story home. Her parents had gone out for the evening, leaving her to finish her homework and enjoy the solitude of the empty house. Little did she know, she was about to encounter something far more sinister than the loneliness she expected. As Emily sat in her room, engrossed in her studies, a faint sound caught her attention, a soft, melodic laughter echoing from downstairs. At first, she dismissed it as a figment of her imagination, a trick of the mind brought on by the silence of the house. But as the laughter grew louder, its eerie cadence sending shivers down her spine, Emily knew that she was not alone. Heart pounding with fear, Emily tiptoed out of her room and descended the staircase, her footsteps barely audible against the polished hardwood floors. With each step, the laughter seemed to draw her closer, its source elusive and maddeningly out of reach. As she reached the bottom of the stairs, Emily found herself in the dimly lit living room, the air thick with an otherworldly presence. The laughter echoed all around her, seeming to emanate from every corner of the room, yet there was no one to be seen. With a trembling hand, Emily reached for the light switch, her breath catching in her throat as the room was bathed in a harsh fluorescent glow. And there, standing in the center of the room, was a figure cloaked in shadow, a young girl with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. Frozen in terror, Emily watched as the girl's laughter filled the room, her voice mingling with the eerie creaking of the floorboards and the low moan of the wind outside. With each passing moment, the laughter grew louder, more menacing, until it felt as though it would consume Emily whole. Summoning every ounce of courage she had, Emily backed away from the apparition, her heart pounding in her chest as she raced towards the front door. But no matter how fast she ran, the laughter followed her, its haunting melody echoing in her ears like a sinister refrain. As Emily burst through the front door, gasping for breath and trembling with fear, she realized that the laughter had stopped. The house was silent once more, but as she glanced back at the darkened windows and looming silhouette of her home, she knew that she would never forget the terror she had witnessed that night. For in the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, beneath the moonlit sky, Emily had encountered something far more sinister than the loneliness of an empty house. She had come face to face with the uninvited guest that lurked within its walls. The weekend arrived, and Emily's friend, Sarah, came over to spend the night. Eager to shake off the eerie events of the previous night, Emily tried to convince herself that it had all been a figment of her imagination. However, as darkness descended upon the house once more, a sense of unease settled over them both. As they settled into Emily's room for the night, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every creak of the floorboards and whisper of the wind outside seemed to set her on edge, and she found herself casting nervous glances around the room. Suddenly, they heard it, the faint sound of laughter echoing from downstairs. Emily's blood ran cold as she exchanged a terrified glance with Sarah, realizing that the nightmare was far from over. Determined to confront whatever malevolent force haunted her home, Emily led Sarah downstairs, their hearts pounding with fear as they descended into the darkness below. But when they reached the living room, they found it empty, the laughter having ceased as abruptly as it had begun. Shaken but determined, Emily and Sarah returned to her room, hoping to find refuge from the chilling presence that lurked within the house. But as they settled into bed, a new sound filled the air, a soft, ghostly whisper that seemed to emanate from the shadows themselves. Paralyzed with fear, Emily and Sarah huddled together beneath the covers, their hearts racing as the voices whispered words of malice and menace. Terrified, they tried to block out the haunting sounds, but the whispers only grew louder, filling the room with their sinister chorus. As the night wore on, Emily and Sarah clung to each other in terror, their minds reeling with the knowledge that they were not alone. With each passing moment, the voices grew more insistent, their words echoing through the darkness like a sinister incantation. In a desperate bid for escape, Emily and Sarah fled from the room, racing through the empty corridors of the house as the voices pursued them with relentless determination. But no matter where they turned, they found themselves trapped in a nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. Finally, as the first light of dawn broke through the darkness, Emily and Sarah emerged from the house, their bodies trembling with exhaustion and fear. Though they had survived the night, they knew that they would never forget the horrors they had witnessed within the walls of Emily's home. For in the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, beneath the moonlit sky, Emily and Sarah had come face to face with a darkness that defied explanation, a darkness that would haunt them for the rest of their days.
Don't forget to subscribe for more exciting content.